AITA for not telling my roommate I own the house? I am not the OOP. OOP is you, burning my bridges 72. AITA for not telling my roommate I own the house? Trigger warning. No. Originally posted to Am I the Asshole? Original post. August 9, 2023. Brief backstory. About a year ago my last remaining grandparent passed away and my father inherited all assets, including a house. I had been saving for a nice down payment, at least 50%, so I could have a lower mortgage payment each month, thus allowing me to save money for travel. When my father inherited this house, which he had no interest in moving into yet, he offered to sell it to me for slightly below market rate, with the caveat that he and my stepmother could eventually move into the basement apartment. I agreed, because they're both incredible people who are not at all invasive and would give me my privacy if they lived there. So I paid a 60% down payment, financed the rest, and moved in. Present day. About 6 months ago I started considering renting out the finished basement apartment. It has 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a living room, and a small kitchenette, sink, fridge, microwave, but no oven. A friend of mine said his brother was moving to my city and needed a place. He's a brand new teacher and doesn't make great money, so he needed a place that wasn't expensive. I offered to let him rent my basement for way less than market rate, $650, which would include utilities. He readily accepted and signed a year-long lease. Well, a few days ago he asked if he could start paying the landlord directly instead of giving me rent money each month. I was under the impression my friend had told him I own the house. So I was confused and I told him we don't have a landlord and that I'm the owner. He got very upset and screamed at me for lying for over 6 months and taking advantage of him by making him pay so much in rent. For the record, an apartment similar to the one in my house would be well over twice what he's paying me, closer to 3 times for something as nice. He asked how much of my mortgage he's covering and I said, "Why does that matter? You're getting a nice, quiet place to live, access to a full kitchen and laundry room, and you're paying an amount that you can afford. My personal finances aren't really a factor here." He stormed out of the room and slammed the basement door. He's still not speaking to me. I asked a few other friends and some family members, and most said I'm wrong for having him cover my mortgage payments. Only a few say I'm in the right. So AITA for having my roommate cover $650 of my $775 per month mortgage? ETA. He has a lease, so I won't be evicting him over this alone. If he does any damage or becomes hostile, I'll look at the eviction process. But for now, he will remain unless he chooses to break the lease, which I'd allow him to do if he wants. He also didn't bother to read the lease before signing. The lease clearly states I'm the homeowner. I didn't trick him or keep info from him. He simply didn't read what he was signing. I didn't get the house for almost free as some people choose to believe. My father sold it to me for about 75% of its value, more or less as an advance on rent he and my stepmother will pay when they move in here in a few years. We already agreed they won't pay monthly rent but will contribute to utilities and groceries at that time. I also made a 60% down payment, so I have quite a bit invested, as well as paying about $1,500 per month out of pocket for taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, etc. More info from OOP's comments. Oop. I have no rules regarding when he uses the kitchen or laundry room. I work long hours, so I'm not home a lot of the day and evening. He gets in at about 4 p.m. and I'm not back until closer to 8 p.m. He has full access to the entire first story, including a full kitchen and a laundry room. My name is on the lease he didn't bother to read before signing. A department profit $9,525. I bet utilities are at least $350 a month altogether. The man got a bargain. Oop. Utilities and internet plus TV, which he has full access to. Total almost $550 a month. Where did I ever say he was paying the utilities? I pay those for the entire house, including his apartment. My out-of-pocket is $1,500 in addition to his rent, which is stated clearly in the post. I'm only friends with his brother, and he thinks he's an absolute moron for being mad over cheap rent. He came over here yesterday and basically told his brother what an idiot he is, which made me laugh since I could hear him from upstairs. Emergency shit. Info. Have you had an interaction with your renter since his brother told him off? Oop. Not at all. He uses his separate entrance to come in and out, and hasn't been to the first story in days. I can hear movement and noise in the basement, so I know he's there. Emergency shit. Have you talked to your friend after he told off your renter? I'm wondering how the outcome of their discussion went. Oop. Briefly. He has no clue why his brother is acting this way. Curious by Moon. Wonder why he moved out of the last place. Oop. His last place was his parents' house after graduation, and before that was a dorm. This is the first time he's lived on his own and paid his own rent. Verdict. Not the asshole. Update post. August 15th, 2023. Update to the situation. I intended to speak to him over the weekend, but he never returned my texts asking when a good time to discuss things would be. So Sunday afternoon I sent a text stating I would be entering the basement at 6 p.m. Monday evening. He never replied. When I went into the basement, some of his belongings were there but some weren't. Bed was there, but no dresser or side tables, and the second bedroom he was using as an office has nothing but boxes. The kitchenette was disgusting. The carpets were filthy, and the walls had dents and divots in them, and the paint. I left him a note stating he needs to do some repairs and clean the kitchenette, so as not to attract vermin. Then I went back upstairs. Well, he came back in today, early this morning, and was fuming at me for entering the basement without permission. I told him I had given him more than 24 hours notice per the lease, via text message before entering his area. His reply was that he didn't get that because he blocked my number. So somehow it's still my fault for not informing him I would be down there. I asked him if he intends to stay out the lease or if he wants to break it. He said he's leaving and will live in his car until he finds a new place. I told him that's fine, and that if he has all his belongings out by the end of the month, I won't make him pay September and half of October's rent, as the lease requires, and I'll refund the days he isn't here. He tried to tell me he doesn't need to pay that rent because he has 45 days to vacate. But that's only the notice period. If he intends to leave, the lease still requires rent for those 45 days. So he's mad about that. I told him I'm being kind by letting him out early with zero financial repercussions. He was also told he's required to leave the apartment as clean as it was when he moved in, which was spotless since I had it professionally cleaned prior to his lease beginning, or he would not get his deposit back. He's throwing a tantrum about that too. He seems to be working on clearing the rest of his stuff out now. I told him when he's done, send me notice in writing, text or email, and I'll send him a refund for the days in August he isn't occupying the apartment. I have indoor Ring cameras that I turned off when he moved in, but I've turned them back on until he's gone. I don't trust that he won't do more damage. Right now I've locked myself in my office on the second story, since he's really mad and was throwing things around in the basement and main kitchen. His brother and sister-in-law are also coming over in the next hour or so because I don't feel entirely safe being alone in the house with him. As soon as he gives me notice that he's completely vacated the apartment, I'll be changing, deleting all the passwords, codes for all the deadbolts, alarm system, internet, etc. so he can't access anything at all. I'm ready to be done with him and to feel safe in my own home again. Thanks to all who read the original post on AITA. I'll post any additional updates here on my profile, though I hope this is the end of it. More info from OOP's comments. Oop. He made some vague threats. Nothing I feel I should call the police over. But I still let his brother know just in case. My friend's wife is mad and is on her way over. My friend will be here after he finishes work. Mimamouse66. Reality is gonna slap him so hard in the face. Oop. I think it already has. He moved all his stuff out, notified me of his complete vacancy of the apartment, and is already whining to his brother about not being able to find anything online in his price range, which I'm told is $800 per month with utilities included. He won't find that where we are, unless he shares a bedroom with at least one other person. No, I had it written so that he only had to give me 45 days notice before moving, unless I gave him written permission to end it early. In this case, I told him in writing that he could break the lease without penalty. I don't need the rental income per se. It was just nice to have. I'll be fine without it while I decide if I even want a new tenant. And finally his comment 3 months later. The former tenant begged to come back, but I declined. Actually, I offered him the apartment for over market value. MV is about $2,500 and I told him he could come back for $3,300 to make him go away. He also declined my offer. No idea where he ended up, but after some of the names he called me after I wouldn't let him back in. I don't care. I'm still good friends with his brother. He's a good guy who laughed when I told him about my offer of $3,300 per month. I didn't ask where the former tenant landed. I'm sure he has several roommates. But again, I don't really care. I will not be renting it out again anytime soon. I had to do some repairs, so I'm hesitant to let anyone else in. I may let my cousin's daughter move in next year, but I know her and know she's respectful of people's property. Unless my parents move in before then. But definitely no more renting to strangers. This is a repost sub IAM, not the OOP. I am genuinely baffled by this guy. Like, I'd move in right now for that price, and I don't even live in a state with particularly high cost of living. The only thing I can think of outside of straight mental issues is a huge sense of entitlement. Mon's never been told no. This guy's a teacher? Can someone check on his students? Hope he isn't a math teacher. I feel bad for the OOP, but also really bad for the friend. I would be mortified if one of my brothers acted like this to someone after being recommended by me. But wahahaha, I knew as soon as the tenant started pitching a fit how hard real life was gonna hit him. When I saw he'd only lived at home and in dorms rolling on the floor laughing. I feel for their students if this is the sort of childish behavior they indulge in. $650 a month. Utilities included? I'd be offering to cook and do laundry just to keep that sweet deal. Lol. Everything he did was foolish. But one of his childish moves was blocking his landlord's number. Did he think he could just ghost them? He has no idea how adult business relationships work. Beggars can't be choosers. Woman shrugging. I wonder why some people have to be a victim. It seems almost compulsive. I'm so confused. What was the tenant's problem? Why was he throwing a tantrum about getting a nice deal? What was he expecting? That OOP let him live there for free because they own the house? What an absolute idiot. Yes, choose your pride and live in your car. Good job, stupid. He treated your basement like garbage only to realize he was living with his landlord. That's why he got upset. Entitled Little Man. I am guessing he was the younger brother and absolutely spoiled rotten based on his entitled attitude. Love how fast reality smacked him in the face. I've lived with my landlord. Rented a room in a 5-BR mansion. Late 1800s build. Gorgeous place. I knew he was my Lansford because when you met him, he told me his name. Then I signed a lease and saw his name. IDCI was paying $400 per mo for everything and paying his mortgage. I couldn't find another room for that price, and studios, 1BR, started at $850 without utilities or internet. Best place I lived. It was awesome. How did this idiot become a teacher? I feel sorry for his students. Why do people seem to think that owners shouldn't charge people money to help cover the mortgage? I mean, anyone you pay rent to probably has a loan that they need to repay. What I don't understand is why he thought it was bad to be covering your mortgage. That's what you're doing if your landlord is a stranger. 2. I've seen other people get so offended at that, and it just baffles me. That's always what rent is unless the house you're renting is paid off. Something else people don't realize about owning a home is the mortgage is not the entirety of the monthly expenses. Even if your mortgage is paid off, you still have to pay taxes and insurance. Too many people seem to think if the landlord is their friend or romantic partner, they shouldn't have to pay the mortgage with their rent money. But that's literally what you're doing with every rent payment, no matter who you're paying it to. It just doesn't make sense, but people get super pissed about it. This guy took shooting himself in the foot to a whole new level. Imagine being so out of touch with reality you screw up this big of an act of generosity. Oh God, I haven't read this yet, but if this is one of those, why should my YYYY money pay your RRR? Mortgage posts. I'm gonna need some Baileys in my coffee. Proceeding with caution. AITA. That ending though, pinched fingers, pinched fingers. What an absolute idiot. I don't understand why the renter was upset about paying the mortgage. I feel that this would be the case with most renting situations. Also, why would friends say that it was wrong to cover mortgage payments? Sounds like someone that got sucked into the "landlords are evil" rhetoric that is so popular right now and forgot to apply critical thinking. My man getting slapped in the face with reality so hard right now. Trying to stand up to the man, and screwing himself out of a cushy deal. The oop even spelled everything out in the lease and was super fair about his terms, plus he's renting out a room in his own home. Not buying up homes to rent out, contributing to the housing crisis.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.